You a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
This is the Consumer Quarterback Show with Brandon Rhymes. My name is James DeJerome. I'm taking the seat for Brandon today. Brandon is out for a little while. He's put together the Consumer Quarterback Show for you. You know, this is a show of consumer advocacy. Brandon has become an advocate for all the folks in the Bay Area. He brings business associates of his, partners on the program. They take time out of their busy day to provide some information, to give you some knowledge with the idea that your dollar will go farther in the marketplace. So all the listeners to the Consumer Quarterback Show, if you're listening on AM 860, we certainly encourage you to check out our video side. You know, the Consumer Quarterback Show is a television show as well. You can find us on we'll stream the show live, actually, to multiple platforms, so Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube. We've also got a show available for all smart TV owners. If you own a smart TV, you can look us up on your Roku, Apple, or Fire TV. You can search Binge TV Networks, and the Consumer Quarterback Show will be available to you on your smart TV. Of course, we do another show on Sunday on 102.5 FM. So Brandon has gone out of his way to kind of put the show available, make it available to you in many, many locations. We want you to check out the show. Whether you're a radio listener or a television viewer, we feel like we've got some great value for you. Okay, so one of the things Brandon has done, in addition to putting together this network of this group of professionals that come on the air and provide information for you, is he's found a bunch of great sponsors. You know, the sponsor for this segment is Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning. Jade has recently come on board. This is a family-owned business. We talk a lot about local business here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I want you to patronize our local economy. Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning is one who's just stepped right in, become the official cleanings partner for the Consumer Quarterback Show. Jade is, as I mentioned, local, family-owned. They do a great job. You can check out all their 5-star reviews at jadespremiumqualitycleaning.com. Okay, Brandon is a real estate professional. He owns the Platinum MVP team. He's a Keller Williams agent right here in the Bay Area. And we're going to pitch some properties for you today on the program. Any of the properties, the real estate properties you hear pitched on the Consumer Quarterback Show, you can get in touch with Brandon about. He's got more information for you about any of the properties you hear pitched, commercial, residential. Don't leave money on the table if you're going to do a real estate deal. Get Brandon involved with the Platinum MVP team. All right, we've got a couple of properties for you today. We got one in the Spring Hill area, so 12500 Hamlin Road. This is a 41 acres, a really big spot right near Highway 41 and County Road 52 in Pasco. So if you're looking to build, man, 41 acres, you can do a lot there. In the Spring Hill area, again, 41 acres for you at 12500 Hamlin Road in Spring Hill. So Brandon has residential, commercial opportunities, both land for development and residential homes in any size. Here's one in the Riverview area. If you want to get into a commercial opportunity, we've got a commercial opportunity in Riverview at 8001 US Highway 301. 2 commercial buildings, a busy corner lot with a traffic light right there, about 4,180 square feet combined space. So commercial opportunity in the Riverview area at 8001 US Highway 301. Again, get in touch with Brandon and the Platinum MVP team. Don't leave money on the table. He's got residential, commercial opportunities. Even in this time of low inventory in the Bay Area, Brandon has real estate for you. Okay, so one of the great sponsors on the show is Pro Health Pest Control. We bring Dan Menikheim on the show all the time because down here in Florida, boy, there's no shortage of bugs. As folks know, homeowners in this area have to contend with lots of different pests. I want to say, hey, Dan, you out there?
Yeah.
Now, Dan,
yeah, I'm here.
In the break, we were talking a little bit about this season, you know, how it's humid and we still have a lot of moisture in the air, and that kind of contributes to mold. I've got a guest coming on the show today that's going to talk a little bit about mold, but that also kind of leads into pest issues as well. If there's moisture in your home, that's something that pests are looking for.
Yeah, certain things I think mold needs, a food source, and insects also need a food source, and they need every insect needs moisture, some sort of water. So yeah, if there's a moisture issue, there's more than likely bugs will follow, or they are already there.
Now, you guys are some of the first folks to discover some of this stuff. A lot of people don't get up in their crawl spaces. They don't look in the nooks and crannies of their home. You guys are out there doing a pest control service. You might come across some of these issues before the homeowner even is aware.
Yeah, well, when we go out, when you invite us to come out to look at your home and you have a question about some pest control, with your permission, we'll go and do a thorough inspection. And that'll include some of the attic areas or the crawl space areas, the stuff in the air or underneath your home. And when we do that, sometimes we'll run into some plumbing leaks, which cause some moisture, or some roof leak issues.
So that's a common way for pests. That's what they're looking for, is that moisture, that leak?
Well, they're in order for the insects to survive, they need some sort of moisture. The only one that doesn't need to go to the earth for the moisture, or find some moisture, is the drywood termite. That's the termite that pulls the moisture out of the air. But all the other insects, they need a form of moisture in order to survive, whether it's an ant or a cockroach to even the subterranean termite. They all need moisture to survive. So.
Now, in this time of year, hopefully we're going to get some cool weather soon. How does cold fronts or cool weather impact our pests in the Bay Area or in the Florida area?
Well, we always see in the wintertime, we see an increase of rodent activity.
Okay.
Rodents are nocturnal, right? They only travel at night. They pretty much sleep during the day, and so now there's more hours of nighttime than there is daytime, and it gets cooler out there. So they're out investigating, and they're constantly searching for new areas to make their home. One of the greatest areas to make their home is away from other predators as well, because they are a species that that snakes and things eat. So they like to go up high. What's up high? Your attics. So we see a lot more rodent intrusion in the wintertime than we do in the summertime. It really increases the amount of activity we see on a week-to-week basis. So
makes perfect sense. Again, we talk a lot about real estate, home-related services because of Brandon's background on the real estate side. And so if you have a pest control issue, man, that's going to mess up any real estate deal you want to get into. If you need someone to get out there fast and handle this, that's why we got Pro Health Pest Control as a partner on the show. Dan, talk about folks that are trying to make a real estate deal and they find out they've got a pest issue. They've got to get someone in there to do something about it.
Well, one of the things that, I hear from people sometimes when I'm out there doing it for them when they're going to purchase something, they feel so relieved when there is no pest issue.
Right.
They're like, oh my God, thank God, I hear it every day. Yeah, there's no pest issue here. And you can, even if they're native to Florida, like they were born here and raised here and stuff, and they're well aware of all the pest issues that we do have here in Florida, they're still relieved. Before you put your home up for sale, I suggest, you can give us or one of the people you trust in your area, a call to come out and do a pest inspection. For rodents are a big deal for people buying a home too, just like termites are. Okay. People buying a home don't want either. So
I'm sure they don't. Anything that gets in the way of the deal is something you got to handle right away. Now, we talk a lot about, as I mentioned, homes and real estate. When it comes to the pest side, you guys have to be aware that even if you're in a home and you say, hey, you guys are in great shape, we've given you treatment, I don't see anything, because of the state we live in and the area we are, bugs will find a way. It's not as if you can do an inspection on a home and say, yeah, you're good for a whole year or a year and a half, because these things are just out there all the time, whether it's mosquitoes, termites, cockroaches, ants. He talks about them all the time. It's something in Florida you're just going to have to get ready to deal with. That's why you need a regular visit from a professional.
Yeah, we do quarterly services where we constantly are taking care of roaches, spiders, ants, every type of bug, scorpions, everything. Also, just because there's less, we get less termite calls, and it's not because the termites aren't there eating your home. It's not their swarming season. The termites, both type of termites, the drywoods and the subterraneans, they are more often to swarm in the summertime, a lot more often. So you may have termites currently, you just don't know about them. So until they poke a hole through your wall and send out their reproductive swarmers, that's when people have insects flying around their house that are termites. You don't know that they're there. Trust me, they're still there. You just don't know about it, and you're not calling a pest professional to take care of it.
Right.
But that's why we run a lot of termite specials. If you don't have termite control, it's a good idea to get it, whether it's through us or through one of your personal trusted providers. And the best way to look at that, look at your water heater, look at your electrical panel, see if you have a little sticker on there and it says more than inspected. it'll actually have a treatment sticker on it.
Okay.
And if you don't want to do that, give somebody a call. Most pest control companies will go out there and give a free inspection for you and tell you what you have and what you don't have.
Well, we talk so much about real estate. It's a driver for the economy. It's most of people's largest single investment is their home. Make sure that you're taking care of that asset. ProHealth Pest Control can provide a great service for you to give you peace of mind. Dan, what's the best way for folks to get in touch with you directly?
I go to our website, prohealthpestcontrol.com. Check us out. Check out our 5-star reviews. They'll have both. We'll have a 727 and an 813 number on there. prohealthpestcontrol.com.
That's Dan Menikheim, ProHealth Pest Control, friend of the program, providing some great information for all the folks out there in the Bay Area. We're going to take a break now. When we come back, we've got Mold Zero in the house. Mold Zero is a business that we're going to relate a little bit to what Dan was talking about with moisture intrusion into your home. It's these kind of silent and hidden things that can damage your property and really damage your assets. So we're trying to address that today on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Don't go anywhere. We want to thank you for tuning into the Consumer Quarterback Show. And don't forget to check out our sponsors at consumerqb.com.
This is Ward Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
My friends, when choosing a listing agent to sell your home, their track record is critically important. Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of Platinum MVP Team at Keller Williams Real Estate. They're consistently rated by the MLS in the top 1% of all Tampa Bay realtors, and that's a big deal. Brandon and Lindsay are always among the top realtors in the state. Call them today at 813-750-0550.
Find them at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Selling commercial or residential property? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP Team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. Reach me at 813-670-7372 or platinummvpteam.com.
My name is James DeJerome, and I produce the Consumer Quarterback Show for Brandon Rhymes. The Consumer Quarterback Show is a team, a group of like-minded professionals who partner together to provide our audience sound advice, knowledge, and information to make them wiser consumers. We work with all types of business owners and aggressively promote our local economy. We're currently conducting interviews for our expert contributors. If you own a business or know someone who would benefit from the exposure our show provides, please contact us at 813-750-0550 or online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
That's right, consumerqb.com is where you can find all the partners on the Consumer Quarterback Show, our sponsors as well. The sponsor for this segment is Golf Cart Depot. Discovery Golf Cars is also the name for that business, and everyone has a golf cart now. They're not just for business and recreation, they're for all kinds of things. So everyone has a golf cart, and Discovery Golf Cars is where you have to go to get one. Easy Go, Star EV, Cushman, lots of makes and models. They offer new and pre-owned models as well. You can rent them or buy them, and they even offer financing, and they'll come to you with mobile repair. So check out their Tampa or Clearwater location, and certainly online you can check them out at discoverygolfcars.com. Okay, in addition to being the host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, Brandon owns the Platinum MVP Team. He's a realtor here in the Bay Area, and we've got some properties for you. Any of the properties you hear pitched on the Consumer Quarterback Show, you can get in touch with Brandon for, and he will make an effort to get some more information for you about those. Johnny's going to throw them up right now. We've got a few opportunities for you, both commercial and residential. This one's in the Newport Richey area, 6128 Oak Ridge Avenue. It's a full acre, 4-bedroom, 4-bath, waterfront home with bay access. Really great spot. If you're looking to get into Newport Richey, we've got a beautiful home, a 4-4, right at 6128 Oak Ridge Ave. Again, contact Brandon and the Platinum MVP Team at Keller Williams Realty. He's got all your property needs. Here's one in the Tampa area, 5510 South Elkins. So right near the Yacht Club, about 4 minutes to the Tampa Yacht Club, 12 minutes to downtown Tampa. This is a Ballast Point community. So if you're looking to get into the Tampa area, close to downtown, 5510 South Elkins, got a great residential opportunity. As I mentioned, Brandon has both commercial, residential opportunities. He's got land for sale. So get in touch with him. Even in this time of low inventory, Brandon's got opportunities for you. So get in touch with him and the Platinum MVP Team. Before the break, we were visiting with Dan Menikheim. He's from Pro Health Pest Control, and he advised all the homeowners out there to take a good look at your home. Make sure you don't have pests, because this home is your biggest asset, and we don't want anything to damage that value for you. So a professional is critical in those circumstances. We're now joined by someone from Mold Zero. We've had Brandon Faust on the show many, many times about Mold Zero, and we've learned a lot about mold, at least I have, about the damage it can do and the fact that you don't really see it often that time. It's kind of sneaky. It can sneak up on you. So we've got a professional for you. I'm gonna do what I shouldn't do on air and ask you to pronounce your name so I don't get it wrong. Dylan, tell me your last name again.
Sure, my last name is Chiancianesi.
Chiancianesi. Okay, tell me about Mold Zero. How long have you been with Mold Zero?
So I've been with Mold Zero since, a couple of years now.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, mold, I didn't know anything about it. Okay, I thought of it as, moisture creates mold. I didn't think of it as potentially health issues for folks. But there are some health issues if you got a house that has mold in it.
Absolutely, yes.
Have you come across that?
Yes, there's, we're definitely very concerned. Families have, they have kids, they have maybe their grandparents living them, whatever. So it's definitely a health concern. You can, with different mycotoxins that the mold release, you can definitely experience troubles with breathing,
Mm-hmm.
With your sinus, with sort of head dizziness, memory loss even in some scenarios. But
So lots of symptoms almost similar to what you hear about COVID-19. Your respiratory is going to be distressed. You're going to have irritation in your throat, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
But the idea that these toxins can build up in your system and create a health issue, a lot of times the thing that he mentioned the kids, and that's what really the concern is, because as an adult, you're aware of your health issues. You're going to say, hey, I feel this, I feel that. You may not be able to see an infant or a toddler. Their reaction to mold is going to be kind of hidden. They're not going to be able to tell you about it. So sometimes this is a difficult situation to diagnose.
Absolutely. And even many times mold is even invisible to the naked eye. So when you have a lot of colonization of the mold, when it builds up, you can actually see it. But a lot of times it's sitting on maybe dust, dust spores on surfaces. You can't really see it without different tests.
Brandon has told me before, I always think of it as a visible, hey, there's some mold there. And of course, we think we've seen it, but it's actually behind the wall, or it's in a spot where we don't necessarily see it right away. He said that you can even test the air. Sometimes you guys come in and test the air for particles because it may not even be physically visible to your eye and still present in the home.
Absolutely, yes. We take air samples, like you said, they're cassettes, so they take up a 75-liter volume in the home. So let's say a 25-foot area in the home. Sometimes we take several, in different rooms to see what the levels are at. And very important also, we take a control sample outside. So we can see, okay, we have the outside, what's the inside, compare it,
I got you.
Yeah.
Now, it's not necessarily, there's all different kinds. This is another thing that I wasn't aware of. Lots of different kinds of mold. And the fact is, mold exists in nature all over the place. So there's a certain level of it that's just natural.
Absolutely, yes. There's hydrophilic mold, meaning they're water-loving mold. So when you have a leak, you can definitely develop different kinds of molds. Whereas if you have high moisture levels or high humidity in your home, there's different molds that can grow.
So it's all related to the home services, again, like we do here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We talk a lot about how to protect your biggest asset. Again, we were just visiting with Dan Menikheim from Pro Health, and he talked about moisture being an indicator for him that there could be a pest issue. Mm-hmm. So pests are looking for moisture somewhere in the home, so he's looking for that as well. He often finds mold as it relates to his pest searches. You guys do the same thing, I imagine. You're getting into tight areas, crawl spaces, into tight spots where the homeowner is not aware that the mold's even there.
Yes, for sure. Attics, garages, crawl spaces, these are all areas that are considered outside of the building envelope of the home, meaning they're not covered by the AC, So these areas definitely build up a lot of, like you said, condensation, humidity, moisture. So, it's hard for a homeowner to see that.
You guys have gone through, he's shown us a couple of pictures of different jobs you've done. He had one from a church that was a big deal.
Yes.
A big job you guys did.
Yep.
Sometimes it requires getting into the walls and doing some major renovation. Sometimes it's as simple as treating it. Mm-hmm. But talk about how sometimes a homeowner is surprised to find out they even have something there, or they even say, I don't think it's a big issue. And then you find, wow, the whole wall on the other side.
Absolutely. That happens many times. I worked in a trailer home the other day. Visibly when you walk in, you don't really see anything. We took some air tests and they're all right, but she was still having symptoms. So we actually opened up a wall, and there was the mold.
What was her symptoms?
She had, like I said earlier, she had some trouble breathing.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little bit elderly, so different symptoms that are common to them.
I've heard headache, perhaps.
Yeah, headache, even eye soreness. Anything like that. Your throat burning, whatever. That can be everything. Mold can live in your system, and then it can.
That's another thing I just learned. Brandon has informed me so much. I've learned about this, that it's a living thing. You don't think of it that way, but he said it responds to your attempts to get rid of it. So just like any animal would run away,
yes,
mold actually does the same thing.
Absolutely, yes. You're talking about the church job we did. We started there and we took some samples before we actually started a dry fire procedure, and the spore counts was around 1,000 or less. And then we took some readings in when we actually started the process, and it actually shot up to about 1 million spores.
Wow.
So because it gets agitated, when you it's a colonization, so when you kind of rub it or you spray something on it, again, then it goes into the air.
Right. So that's its defense mechanism. Like you think you're going to grab a towel and you're just going to wipe it up, but it's going to sense your contact and spray as far as it can to spread itself out.
Exactly. Try to land on other surfaces, try to colonize there, see if it can find, at the end of the day, it's looking for water, food, and air, just like any other organism. So if you're able to find what source they're living off of or feeding off of, then you can attack it that way and efficiently. And
what a crazy concept that the mold is actually avoiding you and trying to avoid contact with you.
Absolutely.
So it's a living thing that's actually trying to spread out and expand its domain.
Of course. It wants to survive,
Right. So now when you guys go out to a job, a consultation, it may be an odor. Is that indicative? Because Brandon had mentioned maybe an odor, a kind of a smell that gives it away.
Yes, there's definitely a distinct smell. Just the musty smell. Many people know what it smells like, and even so that's definitely an indicator. We look at that. We look at it visually if we can find anything. We're looking for the source at the same time, and then of course we can't legally say, hey, this is mold until we have an actual result from our laboratory that we work with.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You guys, we talk about construction, how mold is so pervasive and it's so hard to keep out of a home. Even during the construction phase of new construction, if the home is open, the walls are open during construction as they're building the house, it's a chance for mold to get in there, and it's in the wall already from the very beginning of the construction period. It's something that can stay there.
Absolutely. Yes, you go, and if you're leaving porous materials, there's porous and non-porous sheetrock, or there's plaster, which is really not porous. But yeah, if you're leaving construction materials out and it's just over the rain, just over several months, it can definitely grow mold, and then they're putting in the home. So yeah.
Talk a little bit about Mold Zero, how you guys handle this. You'll come out and do it. You talk about just if I'm a consumer and I get in touch with Mold Zero, what can you guys do? If I think I smell something funny, what do you guys do?
Absolutely. So we have our estimators, who are the project managers, actually the ones who go on site first, and they look at the home, what they're looking for. Like I just said, it's visual. If they can find anything visually, which we call suspect growth, then they're then we're looking at, okay, is it a problem with high moisture? Sometimes there's snowbirds that they don't live here for 6 months, and they're up in Canada or something, right? And they have a house here. They forget to leave the AC on, and they leave for months. This builds up a lot of humidity, and then literally the mold is everywhere. So in these scenarios, it's a lot easier to see.
Right.
In different scenarios, we have a really clean home, but like I said, it's not visible. So we really rely a lot on our sampling. Our cassettes. We have swab samples, and then we take the report and we go through it with the client. This is your problem area. This is the kinds of molds that you have, and this is the best way to approach it.
So Mold Zero, moldzero.com is the website. We encourage you folks to get in touch with Brandon Faust and all the folks at Mold Zero, because this is kind of a hidden thing. A lot of times folks don't realize this is an issue for them, and we don't want it to get to the point where you're experiencing health issues. We don't even want it to affect your asset being your home, but certainly we don't want to get to the issue where your kids are sick or someone's getting some health issues as a result of this. So get in touch with Mold Zero. What's the best way for folks to do that? What do you guys consider? Get through the site, or you want to call you directly?
Yeah, we have a website, like you just said, moldzero.com, or you can call in the office at 727-900-7202. We're definitely very available, approachable, and we definitely come out in your home, sometimes even the same day.
Thanks so much, Dylan, for coming in. That's Dylan from Mold Zero. Of course, Brandon Faust, Mold Zero, on the show all the time. We want to encourage you guys to get in touch with them because we certainly don't want you or your kids to get sick as a result of this mold issue. It's something you may not be aware of, so it's something we thought, let's bring this out into the open and try to get some people to deal with it. And Mold Zero is the company we selected, and we think they're doing a great job. Don't go anywhere. We got more for you. I got a feel-good story for you, like I said, about a mom who never forgot the act of kindness she experienced, and she paid it forward. And Millie Athanason is coming up. Millie always brings great stuff. Don't go anywhere. The Consumer Quarterback Show rolls on.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Alrighty then, everybody please stand by.
Five, four, three, two, one.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
That's right. Give Brandon a call for all your real estate needs. He owns the Platinum MVP team. He's a Keller Williams agent and has real estate available even in this time of low inventory throughout the Bay Area. Brandon put the show together about 7 years ago as a consumer advocate. He wants your dollar to go farther in the marketplace. He's kind of rounded up his network, a great bunch of partners and sponsors for the show. We've got a sponsor for this segment. It is the Bilmar Beach Resort. We've had Clyde Smith on the show many times. He's the GM for the Bilmar Beach Resort. It's a great hotel. It's not a chain hotel. It's a very unique property out there on the beach where you can have about 80% of the rooms face the Gulf. And if you're planning on going out there for a swim, he recommends getting 2 beers or at least 2 margaritas because he says the beach is so wide, it's going to take you 2 drinks to get down there to the water. So if you want to check out the Bilmar Beach Resort, give Clyde a call directly. Sloppy Joe's serving breakfast 7 days a week out there. It's really a lot of going on out there at the beach, and it's a great place for a staycation. If you're a Tampa Bay resident, you want to get out to the beach, give Clyde a call. The Bilmar Beach Resort, the official hotel of the Consumer Quarterback Show. And of course, we talk a lot of real estate on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Brandon, as I mentioned, owns the Platinum MVP team. He's got real estate for you, even in this time of low inventory throughout the Bay. We've got a few opportunities for you. This one's in Brandon at 3405 Gray Whetstone in Brandon. If you're looking to get into the Brandon area, he's got a 4-2 with a 2-car garage on a cul-de-sac. The price has been recently reduced. So get in touch with Brandon and the Platinum MVP team if you're looking to get into the Brandon area. Again, don't leave money on the table, whether you're buying commercial or residential. Here's one in Palm Harbor. If you're looking to get into the Palm Harbor area, 2528 Appaloosa Trail. This is a 4-3 with a 3-car garage. He's got an enclosed pool. The roof is brand new, just 3 years old. Brand new AC. Again, whether you're looking for commercial or residential opportunities, don't leave money on the table. Brandon's got opportunities for you, both commercial, residential, even in this time of low inventory. The Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty is doing a great job out there for all your real estate needs. Now, we brought Millie in, the law offices of Millicent, Athanason. She comes on the show every once in a while with great information for us, and she's always topical. So, Millie, again, tell us a little bit about today, what you thought would go good for our listeners out there.
Well, I thought we could talk a little bit about the election lawsuits and what's going on out there.
Yeah, I think that's a spot we've all heard about, but really don't understand maybe what's going on.
Absolutely. So the big state right now that the lawsuit is focused on is Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And again, it has to do with the amount of electoral votes that Pennsylvania has, which is 19. And basically the campaign has assumed that President Trump would need to flip Pennsylvania in order to have a shot. So that's why it seems like the legal actions are focused
on Pennsylvania.
Yes, and I think Georgia's going to be the close second if they can, because I hear that there's some movement or shifting over towards Georgia as well. But in Pennsylvania, they've actually filed a suit with the United States Supreme Court trying to stop the ballot counting and trying to disqualify certain ballots. Okay. Essentially what they're saying is that the mail-in ballots, a number of them, should be disqualified because the deadline for turning in your ballots was 8 p.m. on the day of the election, which was last Tuesday, the 3rd.
Okay.
However, under the state election laws in Pennsylvania, if you mail in an absentee ballot, you had an additional 3 days to get it there because of the mail. As long as it was postmarked by the 3rd, it could get there by the 6th.
Okay, I understand.
And still be considered valid. There's been a number of allegations that are suggesting that some of them were illegally produced. In other words, people that were ineligible to vote filled out provisional ballots or absentee ballots and sent them in.
Okay.
So that was a problem. And also they're saying that the poll watchers from each party, particularly in this case the Republican Party, weren't close enough in order to properly observe the voting.
Okay.
However, I think the Secretary of State in Pennsylvania resolved that voluntarily and made sure that the poll watchers, if you will, were able to observe the count. And at first they were making an allegation that they were not able to, but then during the court hearing at the state level, they said that a non-zero number of people were allowed to observe. So we don't know how many poll watchers that was, but it was more than zero. Let's put it that way.
It's pretty standard practice to have both parties represented with observers in every location.
Absolutely, that is typical. And now they're not allowed to interfere or question the counters, if you will, but they're allowed to observe. And the purpose of observing is to make sure that they're using the procedures that have been put in place by the state for the counting process.
And to create a little transparency for folks out there. I saw a number of these jurisdictions that went online. So actually folks at home could actually watch the process.
Absolutely. They do have that. And keep in mind, this year was kind of a really unique year.
Certainly.
Because what's happened because of the COVID-19, more states relaxed the ability for voters to request absentee or mail-in ballots.
Right.
So that it's clear, all 50 states have procedures for mail-in ballots. This is not a new issue as far as voting is concerned. It's just now that it's being more widely utilized, particularly in light of COVID. Mm-hmm. A few states automatically sent out mail-in ballots to all its eligible voters, and many other states sent out mail-in ballot applications to all of its registered voters to allow them to apply for mail. Most of the states out there have a request by mail ballot, like Florida does.
Right.
So in other words, if we want to vote by mail, that's no problem. If we're an eligible registered voter, we can just, and I think we talked about this when we talked about how to set up your vote or how to vote, that you can either call, email, or go online to the website or fax in a request in order to get a mail-in ballot. And you can readily get one. But because of COVID-19, the states, many states that you had to have certain excuses, if you will, or had to have a reason why you wanted a mail-in ballot. For example, you work out of the country or you work out of the state and you're not there. Or you have an ailment which prevents you from getting to the polls on election day. Well, what they did is they relaxed those standards and basically said that either you don't need to apply them for this election, or that basically if you felt that you were a threat because you had COVID or taking care of somebody with COVID, or otherwise exposed to COVID, that you can just go ahead and request your mail-in ballot.
So we had very unique circumstances this year with the coronavirus certainly impacting the election.
Yes.
But as far as the process, there's something that was available to voters in the past.
Absolutely.
And it's something that each state is regulating.
Absolutely. Every state has their own policies for doing it, but they all have it available, and they have to be counted. The big issue here came with signature matching. A lot of controversy about that. Some states, such as Nevada, which was in controversy, has a machine that looks at the handwriting samples to see if the signatures match. And at first they were trying to say that this was an invalid process. However, there was no evidence to suggest that there was anything illegal about the machine. There's no laws that say you can't use a handwriting machine, and there's no evidence to suggest whether the human eye by a handwriting expert or a machine would do a better job.
It'd be awful difficult probably to prove that the machine had a bias towards one candidate or another.
Yes, that's true.
You know?
You're right, and that would be difficult. And it's hard to prove that just because you requested a mail-in ballot that there was somehow bias on that. Yes, many people prefer to, vote in person, but again, we're living in a different world nowadays.
Absolutely.
And so mail-in ballots, I think, is particularly after this COVID, I think they're going to become more normal, if you will. And I think you're going to see a lot of states modifying their laws as it pertains to mail-in ballots, just because, more people are now working from home. More people are not running around as much as they used to. And since we've had success with utilizing mail-in ballots, I think this is just going to go further. And you're probably going to see more verification processes. And that was the other thing that was called into question, was the verification that, if I'm Millicent Athanason, did I, Millicent Athanason, actually fill out my own ballot, or did someone else fill it out for me? and each state has a verification process put in place. Some states you have to sign an affidavit or have a witness that it was you that completed the actual ballot. So every state, again, varies on that.
So we're going to see each state come up with a solution or a way to ensure that their election is above board and that everything's legitimate, and you as a voter have your vote count. They're going to be able to move forward with their own unique legislation. Is there not a standardized federal court that wants to say, hey, here's how we got to do this?
No, unfortunately, it is not standardized.
Okay.
Every state has the right to make their own election laws, how elections are conducted. It just requires that they do hold elections. It doesn't conduct the manner in which they are held. So, we have a national day. November 3rd is the voting day. But as far as the provisional ballots, absentee ballots, mail-in ballots, the places, how many polling places there's going to be, etc., that's all governed by state law as well as deadlines. So, for example, the deadlines to register to vote, the time that the polls close, they vary from state to state.
Okay.
So, like, for example, Florida was 7 p.m. Pennsylvania, which is in controversy right now, was 8 p.m.
I see.
So, again, it just depends on what that state law provides, which, of course, you can understand now why these campaigns have to have legal teams put together to make these challenges, because you've not only got federal legislation and laws or the U.S. Constitution that you're dealing with, but then you have each state's laws. And depending on which state the voting is called into question, then you've got to have a team of lawyers that
familiar with that jurisdiction, right?
Correct, so that they can file the proper suits not only in the state court, but at the federal level too, because at the state court they were trying to file injunctions, for example, to stop the counting, and that was done at the state level. So you have to have lawyers that know the state election laws with regard to that,
right? And
also what procedures and who could be the whistleblower, if you will, to file these, like who files these lawsuits.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot to this, a lot of complicated issues at play at one time. One of the things I thought was unusual, I don't know if this played out in terms of the actual litigation in each state, the terminology or the vocabulary used, but I saw one group in Arizona demanding that the count stop, and one group in Michigan demanding that the count continues. So they were supporting the same candidate, but wanted different things to occur in different jurisdictions.
Right.
So each lawsuit is different that way?
It is, and it depends on the reason why they were asking to stop the counting or to proceed with the counting.
Okay.
I mean, there has to be a reason. Overall, there's a presumption that if a ballot is turned in, that it's valid, okay? If you're saying that a vote or ballot needs to be set aside, you're the challenger has to prove that there's something wrong with that ballot. And that's why there's been all this talk in the media about, okay, well, it's kind of a Hail Mary for President Trump to be trying to change
because the burden of proof is on them.
Yes, to show that there's an invalidity with the process itself or with the votes. And in this case, they're going to have to really go with the process itself. And the reason why I think that has to be is because we're asking for a lot of votes to be changed.
Right.
So if they're going to do that, then they're going to have to show that there's some systemic invalidity with the process itself as opposed to just a certain number of votes. So, for example, if you're saying that, 3,500 votes are invalid, but Biden's ahead by 75,000 votes, well, what difference does it make?
I see. I see what you mean.
So you've got to show that there's some invalidity with the process itself, and that is an extremely high burden.
Okay.
To meet.
Millie Athanason is here in our Stella Media Group studio. She's got great information for you. This is a subject we're all learning about as in real time, kind of as this kind of unfolds. I want to take a break now. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Millie about that. And, of course, our feel-good story about the mom who repaid her act of kindness. I want to make sure I put that out for you. So a lot of stuff about the election that we want to get clear for you, because I'm learning as we go here, too. So thanks for coming in, Millie. I want to encourage all you guys to come back after the break and check out our sponsors at consumerqb.com.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
This is Diane Vance with Fairway Independent Mortgage, a member of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Please give me a call for any of your mortgage needs. We do all sorts of loans. If you would like information on a mortgage, you can text me or call me at 727-647-8199. I will take care of all your mortgage needs. Go to my website at dianevance.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the real estate quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. We are in a low inventory market, so any of our listeners are homeowners and would like a free comparable market analysis or a 2.5% listing, we will honor this for the first 3 listeners who call or text in 813-773-1253. Free CMA and a 2.5% real estate listing at 813-773-1253. Check out consumerqb.com. Selling commercial or residential property? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. Reach me at 813-670-7372 or platinummvpteam.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
That's right, consumerqb.com is the home of all our partners and our sponsors. The sponsor for this segment is Brothers Easy Moving. Brothers Easy Moving is the official moving company of the Consumer Quarterback Show. They got to be that way by moving Brandon himself into his home. Took on a big job and did a great job with it. So anyone, long distance, local, anytime you want to get your stuff moved, get in touch with Brothers Easy Moving. They are the official moving company of the show, and they have lots of Angie's List Super Service Awards, and you can check them out online at brotherseasymoving.com. Lots of 5-star reviews. Okay, we got a last property of the show. We're going to show you again. Brandon is the owner of the Platinum MVP team. He's a Keller Williams agent. He's got real estate opportunities, both commercial and residential, even in this time of low inventory throughout the Bay. We got one here for you here in Clearwater. So if you're looking to get into Clearwater, Largo Road, 1780 Clearwater Largo Road, we've got a hot corner location for a commercial opportunity. 2 garage doors. This is an office storefront. You can put about 12 parking spaces in front of it. It's about 2,300 square feet. Big lot, 5,290 square feet there. So if you're looking for a commercial opportunity in the Clearwater area, 1780 Clearwater Largo, it's a place where you can open your business. What a great spot. So get in touch with Brandon and the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty for both commercial and residential opportunities. Don't leave money on the table. Okay, before the break, I told you I had a feel-good story for you. This is a good one because we talk a lot on the show about paying it forward and people committing a random act of kindness. I got a story about a mom here in Waco, Texas, who decided to pay this forward. Well, so 7 years ago, Louise Rieda, a 21-year-old single mother, was holding her screaming infant son as she wrestled over whether to use almost all the money she had left to buy diapers for her baby. She stood in line so long that my son had lost his patience. He was screaming and crying for us to leave. She said, "I was so preoccupied with my son's tears, I didn't even notice that the woman in front of me had paid for my box of diapers." So she never got a chance to thank the woman, and so she decided she's going to try to pay it forward 7 years later. She said, even though this was many years ago, I still think about her all the time. She posted an emotional message on a Waco Facebook page called Moms in the Know, sharing the story about the stranger who helped her and offering to do the same for moms in similar situations. So she said, "I'd like to give 4 young single moms a chance. Feel free to message me, even if you don't meet the qualifications," on her Facebook post. Certainly struggling moms began to quickly message Rueda. One came by quickly to pick up the diapers. She hopes that this act of kindness will be returned someday. She said, "I had 4 people that I gave diapers to, and I hope they pay it forward like I did. I hope it brought as much joy to them as the woman brought me, and I really hope she sees this and realizes how she's rippled into other people's lives." That's the whole key to this thing, guys. The whole idea behind paying it forward or a random act of kindness is that it's going to come back to you. You're going to feel better about it yourself, but it's going to find its way all the way back to you. So that's the whole idea. I feel really good about that story, and I want to thank Brandon for making that part of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Okay, Millie had great stuff for us and a lot of topical things about the election that we were talking about, just what goes into a lawsuit when you challenge that kind of election result. Millie, we were kind of talking about different states and Pennsylvania being the one in play that you mentioned, and we talked about what you have to do, what the burden of proof is on the prosecutor, or on the bringing, if you bring the suit, the burden of proof is on you. Talk a little about what they're trying to do in terms of providing that proof. Is there anything out there?
Well, yes, the main thing here is they're trying to say that the ballots that were received after 8 p.m. on Election Day should be not counted because they were received late.
Okay.
Even though the state does allow for the ballots to come in 3 days later. That's going to be difficult because even if they invalidate that, I think because I was trying to figure out how many of these ballots are there.
Right.
It doesn't seem like it's going to be enough to break the lead, even if they were to get tossed aside.
Okay.
However, they have been segregated. So, in other words, whatever's out there that came in after that 8 p.m., they've been counted, but have been set aside so that they know how many
I see.
that there are. But I don't think, from what I've seen, I don't think that it's enough.
The numbers would probably not be enough to reverse the outcome.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to get. I mean, we've seen like with the 2000 election when we had Bush and Gore, there were lawsuits. I mean, that election wasn't fully cleared up until early part of December.
Right.
And I think in that you can see that there's a motivation by the Supreme Court to make the process valid.
Right.
In other words, they're going to presume there's validity because if Americans don't have belief in the voting process, that kind of undermines democracy in and of itself. So
Yeah, I agree. I'm learning a lot about this whole election process that I had no idea about before, with the Electoral College and the electors, and when that's coming up now, and how they're not necessarily legally obligated to provide their votes to the candidate who won the state. I thought that was bizarre.
Yeah, usually, okay, so like in Florida, for example, in some states you'll see the electors on the ticket with the candidate.
By name.
Right, correct. But that is not the case in Florida. So in Florida, what happens is the governor selects them, but how they're selected, they have to be selected from the people that are proposed by each political party. Okay. So what happens, for example, in Florida, for you to be an elector, you have to, number one, be a member of that political party, and you have to sign an oath that says that I'm going to vote in accordance, basically, with the with the popular vote of who's
That's right.
So then what happens is each party submits a list of names of these electors to the governor, and then the governor certifies them. And usually the party's going to pick people that are long-term members of the
party. It's a reward almost.
Almost, yes. And people that are very loyal to the party, that have perhaps contributed to the party in some way by manpower or word of mouth or what have you. So yes, it is kind of a reward in many ways. So anyone could be an elector if you're a member of that political party and you're a registered voter, but then it's being selected by the party. That is not necessarily the way it works in other states. And there's two states, I believe it's Maine and Delaware, that it kind of goes by county, so that you can have, let's say, whatever, I don't remember how many electoral votes those two states have, but they can have a split in the votes where some of them go for one candidate and others go for another. In our history here in America, over 99% of the time, the electors have voted in a manner consistent with what's expected.
Okay. All right, Millie, we're coming up on the end of the show. I want to give you a chance to kind of summarize a little bit of the information you gave us. I'm learning all about this as we go along, and the whole thing about the Electoral College is kind of new to me, and how the electors work and the process and all that. What do you think are the big points you want people to take away from this thing?
Well, I think that with all the dramatization on television, I would tell you that it's a very difficult process to overcome. And, don't be surprised if everything is the way that it appears to be right now, because I think it's almost an insurmountable burden. It's very close to insurmountable.
And we certainly want to encourage everyone to have great faith in the electoral process. We don't want anyone to think their vote doesn't count.
Absolutely, and I think that's the way the High Court feels about the process too. So, but if anybody has any questions or certainly wants to engage in some discussion about it, my number is 1-833-ASK-MILLIE or 727-376-9100.
And AthanasonLaw.com. Thanks so much for coming in, Millie Athanason, the law offices of Millicent Athanason, a great partner on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Of course, all our partners are available at ConsumerQB.com. I want to thank Brandon for giving me the opportunity to host for him. I want to encourage you guys to check out all our partners and all our sponsors at ConsumerQB.com. Brandon's going to be back next week. Look forward to seeing him, and thanks for letting me host.
You've been listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.